Hi, ladies. It's Coach Cords, and my mission is to empower women who are starting or growing their businesses to unlock that inner superpower within them to achieve their dreams. Today, I'm talking about another productivity tool, which is more old school. Um, this time, I'm talking about stepping up a little more into a planner. And my favorite one that I'm going to recommend to you is called Rote Runner. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start with the pros, then I'll end with the cons, and then my overall evaluation. So what I'm talking about with Rote Runner, it's a step up from a composition book because it's something you write in, but it helps you to organize your thoughts and to-dos. Here's my Rote Runner. You can pick different colors, so it's very pretty. And basically, like a composition book, you have one place where you can put everything. The advantage that the Rote Runner has over the composition book is that it is a little bit more organized and structured. So for example, if you saw my other video about the composition book, one thing I recommended was making a table of contents. Well, if you look at the Rote Runner, they actually start out with a place to put your table of contents. And so you can write down what the topic is and what the page number is. Obviously, that is not something I stuck to very much, but you have in there pages that are completely blank that you can write your notes on. And there are already page numbers, so you don't have to go through and put in the page numbers. Now, it also gives you a little bit more structured, and something I really liked about it is that it provided kind of prompts and pages that are kind of pre-filled out. So unlike a composition book, which is completely blank, and there's an advantage to that, right? You've got complete freedom. This one actually gives you some inspiration. Well, there's instructions, but it has you go through, for example, at the beginning of the journal, what are some different roles you play? What are some goals that you have for your month? I really like the structure for the monthly reflections because I love doing my monthly reflections. So for example, here's a month. You've got your month written out, and then there's just several different categories to reflect on the month and think about your wins, think about what you want to do moving forward. You also can set goals each day as well, or each month. Oh, sorry, on that same page, what they do, you set intentions for the month. So you plan out your month, you set your intentions, and then at the end of the month, you come back and you fill those in. So having that kind of structure is really nice. And then it's set up basically as a weekly guide where I'm trying to find I'm just going to put a blank week here. So you can fill in what the week is. You've got one column for each day of the week, and it gives you 3 little points like what are my top priorities for the day, or for the evening. You could use it different ways. That's kind of what I did. It actually, it gives you it leaves you some leeway, right? Then you also, I really like this part over, I don't have a good camera for this. On this side, you have weekly kind of goals in different areas, and I really like that. It also has trackers for your sleep. You can set different self-care or habits that you want to track. You could write down here's like meals for each day. And I also just like this open notes one. I could put down wins or just something I wanted to remember about that week. So I really like being able to write down and see everything in one week, very easy. And this is something I would fill out each week, just keep next to me here on my desk, next to my computer, so I can look each day and immediately see without switching windows on the computer. Even though I'm very much a digital person and overall I prefer using everything digitally as much as possible, having this just sitting there right open is a lot easier than having a digital product. And I like this over the composition book because in addition to having notes, it helps you to organize your time and really puts in that reflection for setting your goals and then reflecting back on what you did. Now, in terms of the cons, obviously this is going to be a little bit more pricey than the composition book. Composition books are under $5. This one cost about $30. It is built for 6 months at a time, so count on that for $60 for the year, which is definitely more than a composition book, but is pretty reasonably priced, I would say. Something I've been using more lately is a subscription service called Silk and Sonder, and it's specially focused for women. It looks like this, and they actually mail you one every single year, and it does a lot of the same things that the Rote Runner does, but it also has an app that goes along with it, with like daily meditations, and each month has a theme. So this is December. It is celebrations. November was nostalgia, and all the meditations go on that. And plus there's like a community, they do events. So you're going to pay significantly more for something like this. This one runs about $180 for the year. Obviously it has some other advantages. One is that it's just 1 month at a time, which is something they really sell so that like you don't have to get too overwhelmed, because that is another problem with both of these. Having a bit more prompts, it is more overwhelming. You could see that I didn't fill in all of my, bits and pieces on my Rote Runner. I didn't fill in all my table of contents. I did do most of my goal setting, but it can be, when you look even on the week, like all the little things to track. I do find this a little bit less overwhelming than the Silk and Sonder. Silk and Sonder can be very overwhelming, but I just love the meditation, so that's why I'm using this one now. The other thing is, and what I think is one of the biggest shortfalls of these paper-bound ones, is when you write out your month, like something like this, you have, if you have any repeating events or changing events, it's just stuck on that one page, right? You can't use it on another page too. You have to like flip back and forth between pages. Whereas if you have a digital calendar, when you put an event in a certain month, you can look at it for the day, for the year, for the week, month, and that event is there. On all of these paper editions, if you write it on the month calendar, then you have to rewrite it on the week calendar and rewrite it for your day or for your year. And each of these calendars has each of these different paper planners has those different calendars. So it gets a bit cumbersome to keep up with events or calendar things. I much prefer a digital version for that. And again, being able to share information with people. I just use this for my reflections, but even with reflections, sometimes a digital version is helpful because you can tag it and search it. Whereas with any kind of paper version, it makes it kind of hard to go back and find it. You have to be much more intentional to go through and find certain notes. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to talk about. Oh, one more con, just like with the composition book. Again, if you have anything that's a hard version like this that you have to write in, it's only going to do you good if you have it with you. The Rote Runner is not something I tended to carry around with me, so I wasn't able to keep up with all my to-dos in it, but I did like it for my daily focus when I'm sitting at my desk. So you have to think about that. It then becomes a solution that you can't just use for everything. And in general, you're going to be more productive if you can have everything in one place. So overall, though, it is magical to have something you can actually write in and that sits here on your desk, that you don't have to open up your computer or open up an app or change screens or log into anything. It's just right there. Because Rote Runner actually does have a digital version as well that you can use as a PDF on your iPad or something like that. And I did buy that one. It was basically the same price as the paper one, but I found I only used it for a few weeks. It was just too cumbersome to actually access it. I did like that because it was digital, I could erase it and rewrite things. And that's always a problem with these paper products, just like I talked about with the composition book. If you make a mistake, if you mess it up, you can't write it. But Rote Runner, I do highly recommend because of those reflection processes, helping you to get clear on goals, help you to think both about about both your year, your months, and your weeks and days. As you break down each one, you can nail it, drill it down. And I found it to be highly reflective. So I love that feature. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it helpful on how you could use a journal like Rote Runner to organize yourself. And if you liked hearing this, please like and subscribe so that you can get more of my tips. And you can always hop over to my blog to get more tips right into your inbox. Thanks a lot. May you find flow.